Yep, the video's on in the corner, so we know that they can see us. And then we'll just go sign in on your desktop just to make sure. But it looks good, and then if we do. Oops, it's click in. Now it works. Oh, I don't like that.
What? What's wrong?
The, because it's just a link. Dang it. Let me fix that. Because it's, not allowing, it never did that before, that's weird. It's not allowing us to. I'm just gonna stop share for a moment. While I fix it. Because I don't want anybody to see the passwords and stuff. All right, so some of the pages are okay, but the paid images, because I have the paid account, are not gonna show up.
Oh,
So it could mess everything up. I gotta figure out how to fix that before the next meeting, because otherwise we have to log into Canva too, which sometimes can be.
isn't there a way just to download the whole thing?
No, because it shows up as a presentation, or not a presentation, as a PDF, and then you can't scroll. Yeah, because it's not a true PowerPoint. It's just so.
Well, what if you just would make all the slides in Canva, download it, and just insert it into a PowerPoint presentation, and then you can.
Yeah, I don't know, like graphics and things, if I do, I mean, like. Sign out if we work. It won't do the effects and stuff, but it's fine. It's fine. Then I'd have to email it anyway, so. Just
try to think of
sometimes,
solutions.
I know. Yeah, it's fine. Having to log in isn't the end of the world. Oh, that's not the email.
I need a drink. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get one too.
Yeah, I know, they're all somewhere around 180 they're listening. No, you're just trying to solidify it.
This is why I always give buffer. All right. I hate this keyboard though. It's very touchy. So. I'm trying to think. Let me just go to present. Just making sure there weren't any other options. Okay. So then the only thing is, now we got minimize. You go back and I'm gonna get out. Back to Zoom. I would never stop recording. Okay, I don't know.
Later, I'm gonna see if the old mouse that was at the desk before I got my own, if I take that and hook it up on here, if that'll make it easy instead of using that pad. I remember Jay giving me that idea just now. And
Just Bill.
Yeah, fresh paint. Hi, I'm Keller.
Helen, pleasure to meet you, Megan. We've been corresponding via email. Nice to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just moved in like April 1st,
Okay.
I think. And, we have 3 units beside us that are vacant that we were thinking of renting just to businesses.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have to knock a wall down for more agents.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And you said this market center is like 200?
We have 180 agents, but we have Gettysburg, Chambersburg, Dillsburg, and Hanover that are all part of
Satellite.
it. Yeah. So they'll tune in a lot of them through Zoom, or we get a lot of agents. We record it, so then they'll watch it. because
Their
they
own
can't-
appointment, or taking
Yeah.
the kids here.
And today we have a women's, that regional convention, leadership women's convention that we probably had a bunch of agents head to that. That was out of town somewhere. So numbers will be light, however.
How you doing? Hello.
I'm Ryan, nice to meet you. I'll be presenting you in later.
Ryan's our operating partner.
Oh,
Yes.
So,
So I'm gonna have, we go through our normal slides and then I'll bring you in, give you pretty much, I don't know how much time you typically need. but
I usually kind of spiel for like 45 minutes or so.
Okay,
and
so you're
then-
gonna need a good bit.
And I can kind of do a little shorter than that too. and then
Yeah, we
just-
try to wrap up around 12. I can probably run our stuff for 15 minutes. It's usually the generic stuff.
I just not.
And then Andrew Harkins, who's our in-house mortgage guy, is gonna follow you with some, he has like Airbnb type of financing that would be, so I figured he'd be a nice little compliment to you and like, hey, if you're interested in what he's talking about, here's how you finance it.
I've done that exact thing in Chicago.
Okay,
What was your first name again?
Ryan.
Color.
Robert.
yeah, so we'll get, I would say typically, Colin, of 180, 150 of them will be here, be on Zoom or watch it.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the team is.
It's usually about 30 or so.
last as a team.
Yeah, summer's tough. Like you know, people are out and about. I gotta run upstairs real quick.
Take our chairs.
Oh, Robert.
And then we'll go.
Yeah.
Good.
Good to see ya.
Gotta show
Oh,
Good.
They just look at something that's already poured.
Oh, did you get your business?
Nice.
Actually, I have one of my wallets.
It's just us.
I'll bring you one.
And help, Bob Myers.
I don't-
Can you just wait here?
Where are they in your?
Doing
on your desk?
Airbnb. Basically, yeah, Airbnb and
In the-
investment for you and your.
Yeah.
I sat in on one from another group. Go to it. I was just me. And Greg had a few, and we were looking at some ourselves. Here's my card. Yes. Good deal. Yeah, a couple of books. Yeah. Very interesting here. I dressed down today because I wasn't expecting to do anything. I'm going to show you. Right at the meeting. I feel like I'm going to, play golf. I got my clubs in the car.
Oh, you need to keep yourself cool.
I know.
Heat wave, so.
I have one client, I take him out. He's looking. Properties for himself and his wife, investment properties. So I'll take him to places like just land, and I have my boots in the car, and I throw my boots on, he gets out with this. He's got these sandals on. I was like, "Oh, I guess I'll put shoes on."
They,
They,
it sounded like.
she said her father's going to be able to put probably 40%.
Oh, okay.
But they're just looking at custom.
Yeah, Adam's just, he's so old, he can't get off his chair. It would be kind of.
And I said.
awkward
it was
if
more or
he
less
left.
I said, "Well, based on that price range, probably, yeah, it's gonna be the mobile home park or children's place. She lives in Freedom, she's.
Just.
So, we'll see. He's in West Virginia, like 6 hours away, so they're trying to get closer. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
His name is Clear.
Yeah.
The agent that left the voice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's from
Yeah.
Columbia.
Next
to me.
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
No. So much.
Like,
better than pizza.
I'm not
I'm not. even- I'm not.
Uh-huh.
Right, well, that's what we don't want pizza either.
I don't know if pizza's home.
No, it's not.
So did you make
It says the skinny one.
Yeah.
I know.
It was my mom's 80th birthday. like,
You were
twice.
sad a lot.
Listen to my diet.
That's funny.
Listen to your diet tips, eat pizza. and then
Pizza
soda.
with sugar and diamond.
Yes,
Dip it in soda.
This meeting is being recorded. Oh, they have a new menu?
I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, shit.
Hasn't changed.
No. Not a drop.
I feel like
The campus has changed.
they have a quesadilla.
There's like no.
They have a quesadilla.
Wow, I'm shocked. It's like I've seen the menu.
I didn't know they had quesadillas. It says new menu. It says new menu.
Everybody's doing new menus.
I know.
The only one-
Panera now has chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, I heard they aren't that great though.
Yeah, I haven't tried it.
Have you tried their pizza?
Yes. the pizza is-
They have fish and chips, I think.
Some
Wow,
fish.
they have a lot.
Hotel.
They read it. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
We stay downtown, it should be right across the street from the old GMAT, but.
They look super tan.
Yeah, I've been outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go that.
Yeah, they've been open.
I'm pretty pasty shipping. They're coming out of the winter.
For Saturday. they gave us a room in the back.
Took me till mid-July to get
Brought
there.
in-
How fast will it go away too?
I'm peeling pretty bad.
Super fast, it goes away. Like,
Yeah, it
I'm
does.
like,
I know. If you don't go.
We went on a float
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's what
And
they
it
have.
was a slow float, so it was like 3.5 hours.
You just baked.
Yeah, and then I had nothing back here.
Oh.
There's Keller twisted my disc.
I think Keller-
Where'd y'all go?
Ferry boat up in, it's above Duncan. There's a real spur in the moment. Like my
Yeah.
buddies go.
Yeah, we
there
run into each
here.
other every now and then.
I had nothing going on. He's like, why don't you just come up? And
I didn't know
like,
that.
I haven't used the RV all year because it's raining and we haven't raced much. So I was like, it's good. I'm gonna go. And it was fun. It only took me like 45 minutes to get
Always make them.
I would finish. They like mini golf there, spades, basketball courts. and There's like a
came back.
kid rolling around. so Never saw like more than maybe 2 here and there.
I just said.
That was good for everybody.
12 hours a day.
I'm going next year to the
Would you like it yet?
We haven't even else seen one in a while. I figured.
There's
it'd be-
I know Alberta is here.
I figured it'd be a really-
But yeah.
How
I have fun. Down there.
You can sit up here, we don't
Let me
mind.
know.
Today too.
I'm definitely going.
I'm really
Oh,
friendly too. You should know that.
It's my job. It's my job.
They could have brought it.
I said, okay, it's my job.
Find my Christmas
We just fall for it.
Oh my God. So she would see this as a It's a rum bucket league on Friday.
Kareem was just looking for a measuring tape the other
The
day.
other is like large pizza, boneless wings.
Please take too much. Take a couple things.
Chip clips.
Chip clips?
No, no chip clips.
We don't allow chips.
I'm not putting chips in them. I'm putting in, I
They
need
have to like hang some on the wrist.
Did everyone put their cards in?
Thank you.
Where did,
In my, Oh.
I've been so bad. No, I
You might
promise.
need that.
This is the
I
one
never
with
have.
Wanted one of these.
No, I even
Yeah.
got hungry.
Yeah, all three of us got it. I know, I think they should be allowed. Last month, they cleaned up. Their whole team cleaned up. Yeah, put them at the bottom. Yeah. Pull that one out. I've been spending a freaking ton of money on gas.
No one's doing work from the shop.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's a letter opener.
Look at you. He's like, what's a letter?
He has no idea. He doesn't do mail. He's too young for mail.
He's
He said, what's this? He goes, what is this? I said, you can open mail with that.
You never know.
Jen will be waiting for a spot too.
Alright, guys, we're gonna get started here. We have a guest speaker that's gonna talk about Airbnb. I'm gonna give him a lot of time. Hey, here.
That's the only thing I can do is the dog whistle.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
2 years, somebody like Ray Hart's been- Hey, quiet.
Alright, guys, we're gonna get started here. I'm gonna go through a lot of our routine stuff. We have a guest speaker that's gonna be going over the Airbnb stuff, details around how to invest and purchase. So I want to give him as much time as he needs in order to get through that. And then to follow that, Andrew Harkins is going to tell you how to be able to buy them. So I want to give the floor to them for the most part. So we'll get through our usual stuff. We're going to start with the
Click on the screen. Sorry, it must have
quick one.
used them. There you
There we
go.
go.
You're good.
Pledge of allegiance. Flags over there. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gratitude. I want to get three. This is kind of my new protocol. So 3 pieces of gratitude, something that somebody nice has done for you that you want to give them thanks about how they helped you.
Greg, Gene invited me up here today.
Thank you, Greg.
Well, I'd like to thank Bob for helping me out with settlement when I was on vacation. It's always much appreciated.
Bob always comes through.
Yeah,
He's helped me out a couple of times.
I want Greg
passed a referral on to me, and I want to thank Roxanne, if she's on the line, for giving me a recommendation for somebody asked for some help doing some showings, and she threw my name out and said, everybody loves me, so.
Is that what she said or you said?
That's what she said.
Awesome. Anybody else? We can go more than 3 if we have to.
I'm just thankful that I'm surrounded by a lot of great individual or team agents that are helping supporting upcoming agents like myself. So thanks guys for everything.
Alberto has been, so I'm gonna pass this to Alberto. He has been a massive resource of referrals of agents that either want to get licensed and or want to come to Keller Williams. I mean, great dad. I wasn't gonna put a spotlight on you, but Edwin is a guest today. He's thinking about making the move over, so I invited him over here. I met with you last week. I told him, let's come out to an office meeting, see what we do, how we carry it, and see what kind of like the feel is, because environment and culture is everything. That's what we always try to really take pride in. But Alberto's been doing amazing with just getting Greg and I some contacts with getting into the school. What did we put 8 in? We have 90 people in right now.
Over 90 people.
So yeah, and we have a follow-up system that we put in place, because now we're getting to the point of like, we need to start holding accountability to these individuals. So thank you, Alberto, for keeping us growing. Right. This keyboard scares me because if I go too fast. There we go. July birthdays. Do we have anybody in here other than
You,
my
I
old
see
ass
Brian.
self?
Gonna be 21, right?
Still looks it in that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know who's on, but happy birthday, everybody in July. Anniversaries, these are people celebrating, some have, do we have anybody else in here? No. Whoever's on, oh, Anita, how are you?
Sorry.
And welcome to the family. These are people that have joined over the last 30 days since our last office meeting. We got Corey Williams from York, Allison. I saw she just got promoted here yesterday on Facebook. She's out of Chambersburg. Miranda is a dual agent, I believe. She's from Maryland as well. She's gonna be out of Hanover. Terrence, he just signed up. He's gonna be working with Greg and PC. Super motivated. And Katie Plymire is actually one of Mike's friend's girlfriend. So, yeah, so,
He doesn't know.
Did you want to call it? Call it what you want.
Well, I know Chase, so, but Katie just signed up as well, passed her courses and is here at Keller Williams, so welcome to them. Go into our belief system, the routine, we're gonna go through it, just start shouting them out. This is what we value, our core values of Keller Williams.
Win-win or no deal.
Integrity, do the right thing.
Customers,
come first.
commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand.
Creativity, ideas before results.
Teamwork together, everyone achieves more.
Trust starts with honesty.
Equity, opportunities for all.
Success results through people.
Thank you. Top producers. We already posted this, but for those that haven't seen it, we have our production board. We had this up last time, but we always love to celebrate and highlight our top producers. We had a heck of a month for individuals. I think 7 or 8 at least did over $1 million, which was, we had an amazing June overall, just as a company, and our agents showed that right there. So individuals, Fatula came in at 2.4, Katie over 2 million as well, Ron, Nate, and Chad all did over $1 million. So congratulations to them. Colby and Neil took top spot of teams at 7.4. They had a heck of a month. Followed by Liz, Dave, the Carter team, and Jeremy Tolley's group, who's most of you is in here. And then as far as individuals, you had Nate, Fatula again, Ron, Katie, and Tim. And then, of course, the big team numbers, you had Liz at 42, Colby at 30, Dave 15, Cardo 10, and Jeremy 8. So congratulations to all you guys. It's a heck of a month. You don't spend it all in one place. I don't know how long we'll keep doing these numbers, but hopefully we keep putting these really good numbers up for future months. First closings, I know we have Kareem here. There he is. Kareem, how was your first closing? How did it go?
It went great.
Where'd you get the lead? How did the process go? How'd the closing go?
I got the lead from Phil. The process went pretty easy. It was, I think it was Caroline. Caroline?
Expired.
It was an expired,
Was it for sale by owner, or was it expired?
it was an expired lead.
How'd you get it?
It's expired.
Listen, I don't really know this. Man. I got it. They all went together. I did like pretty in like this little time, man. So it's all like blended together, honestly. All right?
Got talented. I always like to ask because I mean, some
You
of us.
never forget your first, but maybe you do.
I didn't forget my first person.
I don't remember my first in 15 years, but I don't really remember, maybe I do. It was a city house. I do remember that. Wasn't one that I would be excited about. So, but I always like to hear because you kind of forget after you do it for so long, that excitement around that first deal, getting your first commission check. So I want to, for first closings, I want to hear the story sometimes because, and then, did you get it from expired? I mean, Phil, I'm not sure.
What was her? I think it was a for sale by owner, dude.
Regardless, did you cold call or?
Yeah, I was cold call.
Cold call.
Yep.
Back to the basics, guys. This is what we're teaching with 36-12-3. Get back to the basics. Cold calling still works. If you're not doing it because of, mostly it's because of fear, you got to start doing it. But as we go in this shift and we're teaching these classes, we're going to teach shift. Cold calling is the basic thing of lead generation. If you're not willing to do it, it's going to either impact your pocket, might even impact whether you're still a licensed agent come January when you have to pay $600 just to renew it. So cold calling, that's the, that was what I was hoping you were going to say.
It was actually sold.com.
Sold.com.
Yeah.
Everyone write that down. All right, congrats. Congrats to Megan. She is out of the Chambersburg office. Farstein's trying to get on. You can.
I got him in.
If you want.
I let him in this time.
She just had her baby, Palmer. So, when was that?
I should have put the date. It would have been in between the last meeting and this one. So maybe a month old now.
That's something. So this is the last 30 days.
Yeah.
All right, congrats to Megan. Give the floor to Tina.
All right. Tonight, if anybody's hungry, free food at Outdoor Country Club. You usually can hit up at least one lender for a free drink. So, you could get dinner and a drink for free, but otherwise it's cash bar. Come and mingle with your colleagues. It'd be really nice to have some KW support. Because I get tired of like holding the, the whole KW sign on my head. Also, I'd like to see some of these individuals and top teams supporting our charity bowl-a-thon. All the proceeds go to support housing charities in York and Adams County. So it's really good for the foundation. We weren't able to have it when I was president or the year before because of stupid COVID. So I think everybody should come. The theme this year is sports. So there is a flyer out on the bulletin board. Teams are $200 for 5 people. It's all the pizza and nacho and beer you can consume while you bowl. So 30 teams available. Love to see you there. So far, as usual, Berkshire Hathaway has the most teams so far. So, we need a presence.
And we need to win. Keller Williams owns the cornhole. We have 2 years of golf in first. And
now we need to get back to bowling. Rules and regulations have
the
changed.
benefit of having a young group.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're skilled at this stuff. And then don't forget about Seller's Shield. It is free, and for folks who can't fill out the seller's disclosure on paper, it's super easy. It's super awesome. Clients love it. So there you go.
Thank you, Tina. Events, we have, again, 36-12-3 still running for a couple more weeks here. I think we're on session 8 of 12, which is tomorrow. And then we have new orientation, which is up, wealth building Wednesday, that's every Wednesday. Different speakers come in telling you how to create different revenue streams or wealth through real estate. Tech classes go through the August, and we don't have.
These
So
are
we-
new tech
Yeah.
classes too.
So these are new, George Kelly's running them. These are regional tech ambassadors, so this is all things tech related, Kelly Williams. And then two things that we haven't really firmed up, well, one thing we haven't firmed up yet. After 36-12-3, we'll be bringing in the shift class, which there's a book, if you haven't read it yet, it's a great book to read. But shift breaks it down into 12 tactics, and we'll be covering that. And then in the end of August, I think it's the 23rd and 24th, we have the next slide.
Well,
Well.
slide after that.
we'll get-
All those classes right
Yes, yeah, right in here. Career visioning, Harrisburg is putting on career visioning with Gene Rivers. He's gonna fly out here. I didn't see this slide.
August
so-
18th.
August 18th. If you're interested, we'll start passing around flyers, Facebook ads, so you guys can get signed up and registered. Mega Agent Camp. This is a new one. Usually they were always running family reunion and Mega Camp. Now they've broken up Mega Camp, which is our conventions, into two different things. The leadership had theirs in April. Now this is going to be all agent focused. And the reason being is that when you went, you had leaders and agents, depending if you were in both, it was very hard for them, like the leaders, to be working with the agents, checking in with them, helping them, especially if you had recruits. That was another thing, kind of, you want to be there for the recruit, not just for yourself, because you're obligated to go to leadership stuff. So it's only 2 days. It used to be 3, the 23rd and the 24th. It is in Austin. If you haven't been to Austin, it's a pretty badass place. I would recommend it. The 2 days focused entirely on agents. Usually about 20,000 people are there. It's a pretty good time. So if you're interested, there's all the information. We'll be getting that stuff out over the next couple of weeks for anybody that wants to go.
Can I just add something here?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you skipped over the deal talk.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
What
too
deal talk
focused.
was.
I
Yeah.
was too focused on the mega agent camp, but
So every
go
other
ahead.
Thursday, we're having what's called Deal Talk. We had our first one 2 Thursdays ago. This next Thursday is coming up. And so really, we just get together and talk about our deals. And it really goes to learning the business. And so for people who aren't real experienced, there's experienced agents that have committed to coming in and participating. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you are in the business, because I've been in it for 5 years. I've done a lot of deals and had a lot of things happen. And still last Thursday, I learned stuff. So I highly recommend, just come in, people start talking about their deals, and you learn, and you get a chance to vent too. There was some of that last
I
Thursday.
think it's probably a big therapy session.
That'll be tonight at the Outdoor Country Club, from 5 to 7, alcohol.
Therapy's free.
So the next one is next Thursday.
Thank
So
you,
that's
Linda.
without alcohol.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it could be BYOB.
And,
We could change it.
Yeah, bring your own mimosa. Task force, they meet all these days, Wednesdays, Tuesdays. If you're interested in supporting any of our task forces, which is our ALC, get involved, and you want to start one of these committees or something that really hits home with you, you think you could add value, go ahead and meet with them, or we can put you in touch with the chair of those committees. Keller Williams School of Real Estate, we talk about this every month, K-Score, it's free real estate. We partnered with Kaplan. If you know somebody that wants to get licensed, get them to myself or Greg, we'll get them registered into the school. Amanda, sitting over there. Amanda, we have in-house title now. We are up and running fully minus one copier. We're still waiting on it. But Amanda sits across basically from Otto next to Tina and them. So if you have a chance to stop by, check in with Amanda. I think she'll probably take you out to lunch if you ask her. What's better than a free lunch? All right, we're gonna go to Cullen Tate. That's a pretty badass name. That's a powerful name, Cullen Tate. Colin Tate's here. He's our guest speaker. He's gonna go over all the Airbnb stuff, and then the follow is gonna be Andrew. So you got the floor. Awesome.
And it's just the right arrow on the keyboard then to.
Excellent. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. My name is Colin Tate. I am an Airbnb investor primarily. From that, I evolved to do some coaching. And from the coaching, I got invited down to a KW office in Wilmington about a year ago. And that really caused me to focus my thoughts and processes for that presentation, which resulted in writing this book, Post Coach. So I'm going to try to, this is a 45-minute or so presentation. I'm going to try to shortcut that a little bit. So, I know we've got a lot going on here today with the meeting. So why are we here? I'm focused on wealth building for the purpose of financial freedom. Right? All the money in the world doesn't do us any good if we don't have our health, if we don't have relationships, if we're not financially free. I've owned a number of businesses that have been successful. I've enjoyed them, but not really until I got into short-term rental investing did I really have that freedom of time. And so we're going to talk about how we achieve financial freedom through investing in short-term rentals. So as an investor, what we got here? Really the point of this backstory is when I was like in high school, 18 years old, 17 years old, had a number of friends. One had like a beach house. Other friends' parents had like a place at the river, on the Potomac River. And you always hear these stories, right? You probably can relate. We bought this place for $35,000, and it's this place in Rehoboth Beach now, right? God knows where it's worth. And it always stuck with me. And I was like, where are those deals for our generation? Like, are we ever going to see that kind of opportunity again? And about 4 or 5 years ago, I found that opportunity, and that was Airbnb short-term rental investing. So I had a little cabin, and I bought it just for, my son was like 3 at the time, 4 at the time, and never really meant to put it on Airbnb. But then people started to ask about it, and I'd run into friends. But then friends of friends wanted to stay. I put it up on Airbnb, and my argument was, what's it going to do? It's going to make $500-600. Is it worth the hassle? I put this little cabin up, $160,000, 2-bedroom cabin, and I put it up in like 2015. It's been booked solid since. It started booking around $4,000 a month. When I kind of got smart with the systems that we're going to talk about today, it started booking about $6,000 a month. Post-COVID, this little place is about $8,000. So I have 9 total now. So in 2018, I sold the company, not for much money, just kind of got out of it, and just sort of trying to figure out what to do next. This one cabin was doing so well, I ended up deciding, well, let's get some cash flowing, and ended up buying 3 that summer. And then buying 2. So the opportunity really here with Airbnb is bigger than the top 5 hotel chains combined. Amazing, right? So you're Hilton, Marriott, and all of a sudden these 2 dudes, come up with this idea of renting out air mattresses, and it becomes this global phenomenon. Good for them, right? Also good for us, because we can participate in that. Right? You can buy a house today, fix it up, put it on Airbnb for free, and start generating massive cash flow. I also focus my coaching on Keller Williams agents and their clients, because if I can show you how to do this, you can achieve a level of financial freedom. You can also show your clients how to do it. Right? So when you have a property, or if you don't have a property, if you just absorb the systems, you can teach your clients how they can go buy that rental property, that lake house, whatever. And not only is it going to pay for itself, its mortgage, it's going to pay for the primary home mortgage. And as an agent, what are they going to do next? They're either going to want to buy another investment property, or they're going to want a bigger house. So that's sort of the routine there. So where do we get started? I call this finding your where. Often I'll get asked, what's the best market to invest in? My opinion is the best market to invest in is something that you're passionate about. An area near you. Do you like to ski? Do you like to go to wineries? Is there a river nearby? So let's just kind of open this up for just kind of a quick Q&A. Where's somewhere that you guys go for fun for a weekend? You've got a long weekend, where might you go?
The beach.
The beach.
Raystown Lake.
Raystown Lake, great kind of market.
Poconos.
Poconos. So I'll tell you what I don't like about the beach. If you buy a beach, and everything that I'm gonna teach you is applicable to making a short-term rental work at the beach. But if you're looking at it just from a pure profit perspective, what's a beach condo price per square foot?
It's high.
400. Why? Hey, it's at the beach. But the sales comparables for that, any place at the beach, there's some bit of rental roll, right? Rental history baked into that. It's assumed that that place at the beach, be it a house or condo, is going to be rented some part of the time. Maybe it's that 14-week season, maybe it's a longer season, but that's baked in. So where I like to, somebody said Raystown Lake, right? So so places like that are historically where you would just go with your family for a weekend, that's where we can repurpose an asset, right? We can buy a house at Raystown Lake that was just a family's getaway house, and it's going to be sold in price comparables, in the $200 a square foot range, right? So I invested primarily in Shenandoah, Virginia. But this is the Blue Ridge Mountain Range, runs from southern Pennsylvania to North Carolina. That whole mountain range, every town in here, every little town is the same set of like little cabins, right? And most of those cabins were used just for this same kind of purpose, where it was someone's weekend getaway place, kids get older, mom doesn't want to come anymore, it becomes dad's pad, and eventually he sells it. And prices went a little crazy the last 6 months, but it's 180 to 220 a square foot. So this slide usually works better. So if you're brainstorming, the best way to find places is to think about where you like to go. Another way to do it is to go to Airbnb. I put in Airbnb York, you scroll down, and it comes up with this little section of nearby places. It picked up a bunch of places that are mainly like cities. Deep Creek, what's Bear? Usually this works better. But just start to brainstorm. Where would you go for a weekend? The Poconos, Raystown Lakes, river places, lake places, winery places. Post-COVID, people are really just trying to get out of their house, right? They're working from home, but they're realizing that they can work from anybody's home. So there used to be a bigger spread between our weekend rates and our weekday rates, but now people are just going, hey, I can go work, I can do my Zooms, and then at 3 o'clock, I'll take a hike and come back and hit the hot tub. So the find your where is, find a place that you personally are passionate about. So then how do we evaluate that market? So, we're real estate agents, we like numbers, we like, to look at markets. There's a tool called AirDNA that will give you, it's a lot of the data. So it'll give you an overall market rate, which is based on what the rental demand is like, what the regulatory environment's like, what investability is a great score. That's that price per square foot versus what the average daily rates are. We give you data on what the average daily rates are, what occupancy is like, what the average. So this is average revenue. So this is my market. This is the red. So the average revenue is of all the 300 and some listings, the average revenue is $5,000 a month. We're not in this game for averages, right? We're in this to do better. And I'm going to tell you specifically how you're going to do much better than the average here in just a minute. Questions? I'm going a little faster than normal.
I have one, it might be better for later, but a lot of newer investors say it's best to invest in your own backyard, like here in York City. Do you have any trouble with something being, 100 miles away?
Are you saying that 100 is too far?
I mean, just say, do you have more trouble purchasing and
maintaining a property that's, say in another state compared to being, 10 minutes away from your current home?
Not really. So once you're gonna spend a little time getting the place set up, right? So all my places are like 2 hours away.
Got it.
Got it, not from DC. So that's part of the thesis. This works everywhere. Within 2-3 hours driving distance of every major metropolitan area, we're not in Philly, we're in New York. So there are these places where people go to get away, where people want to drive. Right? And this is also a bit of a recession-proof business, right? I hate to use proof, I shouldn't have, but recession resistant. The people that were going to fly to Europe, instead of going to Europe, they're going to go to the Caribbean. The people that were going to go to the Caribbean, they fall back to Disneyland. The people that were going to go to Disneyland fall back to getting in their car and driving. So gas prices are high, but they're not high like flight prices. So there's a little bit of recession proof here. So AirDNA is your tool that you will use to research your market. It's very inexpensive. It's like $19 a month. You can cancel it after a month, but it gives you all this great detail on, let's say you're looking at a market. Okay, so this is how we're going to start to stand out. Creating your first listing, or creating a listing. Airbnb, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's do this. So Airbnb, everybody's been on the website, right? Everybody knows. Okay. So it's very visually oriented. And when we're selling a house, we want to take great pictures of the house, to get people to come and see it. Well, in the short-term rental game, the photo is a whole product, right? You get a description, a written description, yes, you get reviews, but the photography is the whole product. They buy from that. So first thing we say is to make your listing pop, make it stand out. We do that through decor, we do it with professional photos. And one of the things that I am a big proponent of is, and some people aren't, you'll hear a lot, you'll probably hear just certain different opinions on this, but I'll back it up. Single platform, which means if you want to be on Vrbo, be on Vrbo. You want to be on Airbnb, be on Airbnb. You want to take direct bookings, take direct bookings, but pick one. The reason being, Airbnb is a search engine. It's just like Google. They have to make a decision. If they've got 300 listings, like in Luray, they can't show them all at once. They're not going to show them randomly. They have to decide in which order to show those listings. And this is where we really start to stand out as a host. Just knowing that is the first part of the battle. And most people don't think about it. Oh, Airbnb doesn't like it. Airbnb is not good to me. Airbnb is not nice to me, right? We don't expect Google to be nice to us when we start a business or put your website up, right? There's things that that you need to do to get placed at the top. And how often does anybody go past page 1 for anything? Same thing with Airbnb. So here's a list of some of the things that are really, really important. So we want to be at the top of that to get more bookings. So the very first thing is, did somebody click through? If they show you at the top, did somebody click through? And what's going to be the deciding factor on if there's 10 listings on a page, which one are you going to click on? What's the factor that's going to stand out?
Reviews,
Reviews.
the first picture.
The first picture, right? So back to that at the top, right? So you made great decor, great photos. Airbnb tests your listing because what does Airbnb get out of this, right? What do they want? They show your listing and it doesn't book. That's a negative click. That's a negative mark, right? The algorithm is, the robots I call them, right, is looking at all this stuff. But if they show your listing and somebody clicks on it and spends time on it, viewing time on it, just like time on a website, and then they book, you close that sale for them, they get their 3% from you and their 12% from the guest, they're going to continue to show you higher. And this is a big piece that most Airbnb hosts miss. So I get the question a lot. I've heard about Airbnb a lot. A lot of people are getting into this. Did I miss it? Is it too late? It's not. Because so many people are doing it, but they're not doing it well. Right? obviously it's some real estate a lot of times too. So for fun, next time you go to Airbnb, pull up, a place you'd like to visit and look through the list of listings. How many of them are dark, dingy photos, right? How many people, I get listings, for sale listings, with iPhone photos and dark, you wouldn't do it, right? So you're not gonna do it on Airbnb either. So the ones that stand out are the ones that did the great decor, did great HDR photography, and as you said, have good reviews. So reviews is part of it. And then there's a list of other sort of important settings and policies. It helps you get superhost, instant booking. These are just sort of the policy pages, levels of price. So things like that are very important to the outlook. So here's the next big nugget. It's called pricing for occupancy. The way we price for occupancy is there's a software called Price Labs. And it works like the airline industry set pricing. It knows exactly what the demand is any given day, any given weekend for a specific area, for your area. And it will set prices automatically. So this is one of my listings. A lot of hosts come out, they have a new property and they just say, okay, $300 a night. What that tends to do is significantly underprice their weekends and overprice their weekdays. So in this slide here, this property, mid-October, which that's fall season, this is a good high season. The lowest price is $327. The highest price is $797. Remember when I said that cabin that I had went from $4,000 to $6,000 in a month? That's how. I spent $24 a month for Price Labs, and that made the difference. What percentage of Airbnb hosts are using what we call a third-party dynamic pricing tool? Not a lot, like 5%. And you can actually see this tool has a thing that you can sort by who's using dynamic pricing. If you remember nothing that I said, remember the word Price Labs or dynamic pricing. Anybody you know that has an Airbnb, I'm sure everybody in here probably knows somebody that's got an Airbnb property. Go ask them if they're using dynamic pricing, Price Labs. If they say no, send them a link. You'll change the rule. If you've got a client that's got an Airbnb, I just thought of this, right? You've got a client you know that's got a short-term rental, ask them the question. So all this stuff, I'm gonna hand out like 10 books today. I brought up, I didn't bring books to sell, I brought books as a thank you for being here. So I've got like 10 of these, everything I'm talking about. The cool thing about, I think, about our book, if you go to Amazon, there's like 50 books. And they're all book reports on the features and tools within Airbnb. This book was written from our experience, my wife and I, through hosting, God knows how many guests. We've got 10 properties and we host, 150 groups a month. And this is our exact blueprint for how we operate our business today and how we got to where we are. So third-party dynamic pricing, you can see it makes a huge difference. I never would have thought to charge this. I wouldn't think I would get it, but we get it.
Colin, the year before, on that same date, what do you think you got? For the date you got 797, the prior October of 20, what do you think you got on that date?
Probably 20% less.
Really? So 600.
Meaning, I think what you're driving at is 2021, and we're starting to see this. So I do a lot of coaching. A lot of people who got into the business last year were looking at this year going, man, I'm really kind of working a lot harder, to get the same kind of occupancy. It's because 2021 was a crazy ass year, right? Everybody was kind of getting out of lockdown. People's wallets were fat, with the stock market. People's wallets were fat with, a lot of people have a vacation budget. We all get our 2 weeks vacation. Vacation.
Realtors don't.
Right, yeah. But all those other people, they get like, this vacation time that they gotta use, right? So they gotta go somewhere. So 2021, we're here. 2022, I would say, so to have, move that question forward, some of my places, like month to month, are like up 5-6%, some are down like 5-6%.
So is the site pretty much like plug and play, like you just drop it in there and they do everything for you? Or do you have to facilitate like the picture and or management of it, like cleaning lady? Like it does the amounts that you can rent for, correct?
So what I'm talking about here, this tool is called Price Labs.
Right.
It integrates to Airbnb and it sets your prices for you.
Okay.
So you set a base rate, you say, I think the base rate is $200 a night. I think this base rate is probably like $280. And so then it turns it up or down based on demand.
Mhm.
So we'll talk about managing the Airbnb business, momentarily. So I threw this slide in because these are, you can kind of tell that these are prices for places, that for nights that hadn't booked. So easy to say, easy to ask $797, right? Easy to ask $1 million for the property, what did it sell for? This is a similar property. You can see this is a 4-bedroom, first week in October, $4,300 for the week. $1,400 for the weekend, 2 nights. Right, so the money is out there. I wouldn't pay it. I would not. My wife says all the time, she's like, can we block off the cabin? Like this cabin, she loves this cabin. I'm like, I can't afford to stay. We can go stay at the Ritz-Carlton if you want. Right? I'm not paying $700 or I'm giving up $700.
Right.
I did let her have it for. So those are real numbers. And I'm really open about the numbers. Yeah.
Do you have to price it really low around Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's?
No, those are huge.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, stay afterwards, I'll show you my calendar. Like, yeah, the holidays are amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they do like a contract online? I've never did an Airbnb. I don't know what it is, but like, I know what it is, but like I never like paid what you said. But is it like when you flight, like if they cancel within 72 hours, you reimburse them the money back?
So so you don't collect your money from Airbnb as a host until the guest checks in. One of the decisions that you make as a host is what your refund policy is gonna be like. It can be super strict, it can be super flexible. Yeah.
What do you see the guests want? What's their experience that they're looking for?
Anything they don't have at home.
So PS5?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, decor, TVs. Okay, where I am, hot tubs. My wife's huge on hanging basket chairs, swings for kids. We put teepees in places. Then kind of go back. Let's see this place. Blue velvet couches, big porch. We built a deck around the side here. Giant ensuite. Just stuff that you don't have at home. Right? Anything that you don't have. All right, so we talked about sort of the top line stuff. This is the bottom line, top 2 bottom line. This is a P&L of one of my 2-bedroom cabins. Let's talk about just the left side, on the average 2-bedroom. We can get these average daily rates from AirDNA, we can get occupancy rates from AirDNA, and we get a revenue number for what are your expenses going to be. So your expenses can change here in your market, but you can use this as a checklist to build your own P&L. But really what I'm illustrating here is the difference between occupancy and the dynamic pricing, right? So we want to keep it full, right? The night is not making us any money if it's vacant. More importantly, Airbnb loves it to be full. So we're going to discount those near term, next Tuesday and Wednesday night, I'm not going to get $700, right? I might get 180. I might go to 160. And again, the Price Labs tool will help you do that. It'll automatically bring down your prices like 2% a day, starting like 14 days out, and you can adjust that. But we want to keep it full because we want to teach the algorithm to show us at the top. That's how we get $700 a night next for Thanksgiving, right? I might give up 180 a night for this beautiful 4-bedroom place next Tuesday and Wednesday night, but I'm at the top of the search results. So for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna get that $700. Right? That's another huge piece that most people miss. So here's a P&L, it's in the book. I can send you a Excel version of it. So, but the difference here is the same cabin, $5,000 gross versus $7,000 gross, and all that drops to the bottom line. So instead of making $2,500, which your average host is going to be, remember that slide from Airbnb where it's an average host at $5,500 a month or something like that. But the average host is going to bring in half $2,500 of that. If you're optimized for occupancy and have your rate up, a very small difference here, it's $55. That doubles, almost doubles your bottom line. That's what a lot of Airbnb hosts are also. So operations. The question is asked over here, do I just set up my listing and then everything's taken care of itself? We do have to manage our housekeepers, and we do have to manage our guests. There's another tool that most hosts don't know about. It's called Hospitable. This is an automated messaging tool. So as soon as someone reaches out and says, I'm interested in your place, or books your place, you have messages that are set up that they get auto responses to. As soon as somebody books, they get a long message from me that says, here's everything that you need to know about coming to this area, right? If I'm coming to New York, don't miss Joey's Pizza. Don't miss, the train museum. I'm making shit up, right? Whatever it is, if you got a friend that's coming to New York, what would you tell them, right? All that stuff. So that's going to go in a message, which starts your 5-star review process because, wow, this guy, as soon as you book flights at a hotel somewhere, what's the next thing? You start figuring out what are you going to do, right? Where am I going to take the kids? Where am I going to eat? What are we going to do with our time? I hear Orlando's great, but what am I going to do? So I call it kind of becomes, do I have a slide on this? Yeah. So I call it a bathroom business. Once you have those automated messages set up, you're now just, you get the app on your phone and somebody's asking, where do you keep the charcoal? Right? Right? That is literally from an operational perspective. So 95% of your messages are automated. Yes, you're going to correspond with your housekeepers. I set up a Google sheet, I put all the listings in there. When it's done, I do some variable pricing with my housekeepers. So some of my places are bunk beds, and they're paying an extra $10. This dog, extra $10. They put the price in there, any notes in there, and then every Monday I sell them. That's my interaction with housekeepers. Housekeepers, however, are your biggest business. Right? If that place is 100 miles away, an hour away, 2 hours away, you're not going to be cleaning, you're not going to be seeing, right? So cleanliness is a huge factor in your review, right? And your housekeeper is your boots on the ground, eyes and ears, right? The toilet's leaking, the doorknob's loose, the hot tub needs service, that kind of stuff. So find a really great housekeeper and take great care of them.
Are you in partnerships with other persons like yourself, or is it just you? Like I am the owner, but I have my own contractors. I have my own cleaning people. Are you partnered with anyone else with this situation? Like, let's say you get sick, something happens to you, and you say, hey, I gotta fix this, fix that. Who comes in and watches your stuff?
Understood. So I don't do most of this maintenance, right?
Okay.
I'm handy. I like to do the renovation type stuff. Just been spending the last 2 months on one. But part of the team, so yeah, we got a housekeepers, vendor team. So yeah, I've got a couple of people that I can call their handyman, type things like that doorknob is loose. I don't want to drive 2 hours. I call there. There he goes out, sends me an invoice. Vendor team, plumbers, electricians, lawn care. Just had spent all day yesterday with my chimney sweep. Getting chimney swept out. Yeah.
One question from the chat. Do you invest in really good mattresses?
That's a great question.
It is a good question.
We ran into
I buy really great mattresses inexpensively at Bob's Discount Furniture.
Yeah.
I'm half our furniture goes to Bob's Discount Furniture. What I did recently learn, I used to always be cheap and not buy the foundations. And it's not a comfort issue. Your beds end up getting tore up without the foundations. So we've kind of gone back through the foundations. But also go back to like the low profile ones. But yeah, people are gonna tear your beds up. So yeah, this is talking about operations and authority. The other thing to do, keep an eye on your reviews. Your customers are gonna tell you a lot, right? They can tell you the good and the bad. But use that as an opportunity for growth, right? You know, two people say the hot water ran out too fast, then, you know, maybe we need to get something looked at in the hot water heater. You know, if they say, gee, I wish I'd had a blender, go buy a blender. You know, the kids were bored, buy some toys. Right? So all that kind of stuff, we get this neat thing about short-term rental versus like long-term rental. We have this opportunity over 2.3 days to improve the property. Right? I know there's some investors in here probably own some long-term stuff. Right? I had 2 long-term rental condos and I only saw them once a year. And then once a year, now you're in there rebuilding things, replacing carpet, you know, doing deep cleaning, you know, repainting. And at Airbnb, we're making it perfect every 2.5 days. And we're making it better, you know, as the reviews come in. So we're adding amenities, we're improving the property, we're forcing appreciation through those improvements as well. So sort of in summary, I call the 4 pillars for short-term rental success. 1, make it pop. 2, make, 1, sorry. 1, find your where. Find a place that you're passionate about that's not too far away. I think it was touched on about remote operations. Once the properties, I'll tell this story as my summary. So find your where, make your listing pop, decor, photography, price per occupancy, use third-party pricing, keep it full, and optimize for rank. We're going to keep an eye on where we're placed, and we're going to adjust our policies. There's some software that I didn't get into here that will tracks that rank placement for you. So rank freeze. So find your where story. This will be my summary story. So people were asking, you know, what if I'm kind of far away? Can I manage it remotely? 2 years ago, pre-COVID, we had 7 properties. My son was going into 5th grade. And my wife and I decided to move to Athens, Greece for a year. That's financial freedom. We said our son's in 5th grade. He's not going to, you know, he's going to go to school. We put him in an international school in Athens. And we did it for him. We did it for him to have an international experience, to open his mind, you know, to live in a different culture. My wife and I did it for ourselves. At that time, I was married 15 years. You know, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, you have a business. Then what? Right? We did it for the adventure. We did it for the challenge, right? So, and the business side of this is we ran all 7 properties from Athens, Greece, on a 7-hour time difference, really without hiccup. So you can do it remotely, and it is a vehicle to financial freedom. Thank you. And there's a render.
Yeah, so do we want to do that and give a
Questions?
question?
Yeah, let's any questions. Yeah, let's
One question I had, is
I try to
there,
move really fast.
is there, because we've been talking about this, is there a site or something that can tell you, because it seems like some townships, boroughs are getting a little bit restrictive, Gettysburg being one. in certain
Poconos
areas.
being another.
Is there a site you
Pennsylvania,
go to verify there's?
Pennsylvania Association of Realtors is bringing that up more and more because the membership, you know, members are hearing it from their local boards, bureaus, townships, and
So regulation
municipalities.
can take place at the county level, right? So AirDNA has a score on that, the regulation score, right?
Okay.
You can also call your county. And all regulation can also happen at the HOA level. Right? So if you're looking at a property before you put it in an offer, make sure to check the HOA docs. But again, it's one of the reasons I like these areas like Raystown Lake, like the Poconos, like places that have been historic vacation destination getaway spaces are far, far less likely where you're gonna have a regulatory issue.
I know that they, you know, you can contract with a super host what does that look like from like a cost perspective? Like I know.
I think you
there's
might be
people-
mixing up a couple metaphors there. So superhost is a status that any host can get by
Yeah.
basically following the rules.
The guy that just like does all the Airbnb.
Okay, so I
Oh, gal,
think you might be
for that
looking at the term co-host,
There you go.
right? So you can employ people, and I have clients like this that do this for other people, where they will co-host your property.
Yeah, what's that run cost wise?
20% is usually the kind of.
So it's a chunk of money.
Yeah, it's a chunk of money.
And is that the same as a property manager?
Little different. There are also property management companies that specialize. There's national co-hosting type companies. I'm not a fan. You know, if you're real wealthy and you're just trying to park some money somewhere, and don't want to think about it, then perhaps a property management company or a co-host can be a good solution for you. It's not that hard. You know, we're back to the bathroom business. It's really the input versus output. It really is. Nobody's really not too busy, right? The other thing is nobody's ever really going to care for your property and your pricing. And so it's not just the 20% that you're giving up to them. It's what aren't they doing? What hustle aren't they providing, right? In your pricing and to your guests, you know, so on. So I think it's kind of a double-edged sword. So that's why it's a fit, I'm sure, for some people, but I kind of preach self-management. It's one of the reasons we can get so much margin out of a short-term rental, right? Is because we are doing it's a little more entrepreneurial, right? You know, there's a little bit more of operating a business on a day-to-day basis, and that's why the returns are so high, right? So people say, oh, I prefer completely passive. Well, you know, per door, what's that look like, right? Versus some of the numbers that we looked at, you know, at the door, the one door P&L there. I don't know a lot of people who one door long-term rentals are, you know, netting $2,000 to $5,000 cash flow. Cash flow opportunity. It's huge. And part of that is we're doing a little bit of work.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be here. I'm gonna be hanging out. I'm in no rush. I brought some books for you guys. I've got business cards. Anybody wants to drop me a business card? You know, I'll trade cards for books. Books for cards. Yeah.
Just real quick, so you coach folks on how to manage these?
Yes.
What's that look like? Is it like we have
Great
real estate coaches, it's the same concept?
So first and foremost, the big benefit of the coaching is that I'm also an Airbnb ambassador, which means Airbnb will compensate me for helping you, kind of like as a productivity coach, right? Helping you get your listing set up. So what that looks like, so that means I don't have to charge, right? So if you say, I'm buying an Airbnb property, Keller, can you help me through the whole process? I don't have to charge you, right? Airbnb will compensate.
So-
But what work am I doing, right? Usually we have about 3 Zoom calls, you know, kind of at certain inflection points, like I'm looking at this property, you know, let's talk through the numbers, you know, usually kind of one around the core, and then your go live call, which is the big one, which is we plug in all these tools together, right? We go through your listing, I help you pick policies, and I like to be a coach because I don't just say, well, here's the checklist.
Right.
No, college nickname. Sorry. So I can just hand you a checklist and say, you know, this is what you do. But that's not right for everyone, right? Some people's policies, it's going to be different, you know, in, you know, like certain buildings, you know, policies would be different. There's lots of things, there's about 101 little decisions you have to make when setting up an Airbnb listing, and you're not sure about what you're navigating. So that's why I like to coach people through it and help them make that decision. It's right for their property, their personality, how far away they are, how schwank the place is, how crappy the neighbors might be, you know, so much.
So I go buy one tomorrow, I just call you the next time.
You just call me next time?
You probably will, actually.
No.
That's actually what he wrote.
So usually it's like 3 Zoom calls.
And you
then
know
like
what? Don't
emails
put
in
50
between.
grand less than list price too, on it too, because that's just not very good. I watched him drop 50 grand out of his pocket the other day.
That's not true.
Now we're embarrassing you. Well, again, I'll be here. I live in Rockville. It's like an hour 45 minutes away, so I'm in no hurry. I can chat with anybody. Which is what I was thinking about.
Are you gonna raffle the books off? Or how are you gonna?
I don't know. What do you think I
We
should
just
do?
got, so we usually do drawings at the end.
If everybody has a
Where can they get your book if?
Amazon. And the website that probably has.
I had it up here.
Yeah,
It's,
so hostcoach.co is my website. There's a little calendar lead. You can sign up for like a consultation if you want to chat. My email is just cdavidhostcoach, send me an email. Greg knows how to get in touch with me and we'll do a raffle of the cards.
Yeah.
I'll put Colin's information on our KW page today.
Awesome.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Colin. I appreciate it. You're staying after for some FAQs if needed. Andrew's gonna be next. He's gonna talk about how to finance these bad boys, so.
I thought Greg was viable. I'll hold the note. I'll hold the note.
All right, so I got two little things we're gonna run through, but we can kind of segue off of this. We do right now, our team does a ton of loans for investment property. Most of them are long-term rentals, people like investing in our market for, just looking for people that, are trying to do wealth building. The stuff with Airbnb is kind of slowly evolving for investment properties. For years and years and years, you could go and buy a second home. Do it as little as 10% down, and they would basically give you the same interest rate as they would on a primary residence. What Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac kind of came out and realized was that if you do that, most people are turning around on their Airbnb. So they started to put what they call a loan level price adjustment in there for all, lender partners. And basically the gist of it is that second home pricing is no longer the same as it would be on a primary residence. So you go and you buy, let's say an Airbnb, maybe it's something in the Poconos like we're talking about here. If you want to buy that property and you're using zero rental income to qualify to buy it, and you're just like in a good position financially, want to come and buy it, you can do it as little as 10% down. Buying them today, interest rates, you're probably like mid-high sixes on them. I think a primary is probably in like the mid-ish fives, maybe high fives, give or take. Like it's something you're going to occupy, but as a second home, you can do it that way. If you want to do it as an investment property, most people don't know this, you can buy it as little as 15% down. You can utilize fair market long-term rent as dictated by the appraiser on the appraisal. They'll give you 75% of whatever fair market rent is to help offset, to help you for qualifying. So in theory, let's say you buy one, appraiser goes out, they look at long-term rents, they say, hey, fair market rent on this is $1,000. They will allow you to use $750 of that to aid you in qualifying. So essentially, you're coming in, they're gonna and you don't have to have a rental history, a history of like marketing, or I should say, of owning and managing rentals to do this. You can do this right out the gate. They'll let you use 75% of it. So, what's that look like? I mean, a lot of times people, as long as they're like in a decent financial position, a lot of times they can come in and buy 2, 3, 4 right off the bat like that. I will tell you, if you buy a lot in a short amount of time, you kind of hit that level where you buy 2, 3, 4 of these, and then you kind of have to wait, because you have to be an established landlord and have a history of being a landlord on paper as designated by Fannie Mae to utilize the rent to offset the existing housing expense. So what that basically means is I have a house. I also own a rental. It's my first townhouse I ever bought. I claim it on my tax returns. So if I go to buy an Airbnb tomorrow, I can utilize the rent that I claimed on my tax return to offset that first townhouse I lived in. So that doesn't count against me for qualifying. And then when I go and I buy my Airbnb in the Poconos or something like that, I can use 75% of whatever fair market rent to help offset that house. So they're not as hard to qualify. I think a lot of people think about, oh, you want to go buy a beach house, you want to go buy something like that. They think it's like insanely hard to qualify. It's a lot easier to qualify than most people think. I mean, we have people right now that we're doing loans for. I mean, they make $50,000, $60,000 a year as a nurse, and they're buying 1, 2, 3, 4 rental properties.
At what point do you become an established landlord?
when do you get that?
1 year
designation?
tax returns.
Just, okay,
Yep, 1 year tax returns claiming that rental income.
easy enough.
And they look at it that way. So, I always tell people, I think the big thing is coming up with the money for the down. A lot of people that are homeowners, there's several credit unions locally that'll let you leverage right off your primary residence. You can borrow up to 100%. Get a HELOC on it. You can utilize that money as your down payment to buy your first one. So I'm like the king of like trying to leverage everything that you can. I will tell you, it's really hard. I shouldn't say it's really hard. It's very hard. It's more hard to get financing on second homes and investment properties in the forms of home equity loans and home equity lines of credit behind a first mortgage. So a primary residence, like for instance, the house I lived in, very easy to go get a second lien on it, put that loan on it, get access to it. But when you start looking at second homes and investment properties, a lot of the banks and the credit unions, they want to see first lien position, or they just don't want to mess with giving a home equity loan or a home equity line of credit. On those, you can do cash out refis on them. I think depending upon the unit count, you can get to 70 or 75%. It just changed. I forget what it is off the top of my head, but you can do cash out refis on them to be able to access that money as well there, if the property is appreciated over time, right? I will tell you, if you look real good on paper, a lot of times you can go to like these local banks or credit unions and kind of press them to give you something on it, even if it's only to like 80%. That way you're not like getting rid of your rate that you have that's 3% on something. You know what I mean? Like if you bought a house 2-3 years ago, you're holding a 3% rate on the first, you're not going to want to go to 6 to cash out 30 grand or 40 grand. You know what I mean? But I think the law of leverage is kind of what comes into play here. Like you got to look at those opportunities, and just to kind of follow up what he's saying, like you got to look at those opportunities. You can 100% utilize money that's coming from a home equity loan, home equity line of credit is down payment money. Totally fine. Questions about that?
You repeat everything you said.
I mean, we can talk about it one off, but I mean, I think, as it relates to your scenario, because everybody's kind of set up a little bit different.
I have a question.
Yep.
So let's say somebody that doesn't have any investments, they want to get started.
Mhm.
Should they be doing this all in their personal name, or do they need to set up an LLC and start doing it that way?
Great question. So the people that we do a lot of investment property loans for, they get coached by like a comparable entity, right? But it's long-term rentals. And a lot of the coaching that they receive is husband buy 10 in his name, wife buy 10 in their name, because you can buy up to 10, right? Title and deed them in one. Once you have an established business that you're running profit through, then you can go and get commercial financing. And eventually you're going to want to, kind of move them all over into the name of an LLC from a, liability standpoint. But I think to start, that's how you have to really start it. Because they're not just going to give you a commercial line of credit for $500,000, most banks.
So you recommend it being separate, husband and wife, or?
I would recommend, because it's going to allow you to qualify for more, if you're going to like really go after this with a vengeance.
Right, because he can go
10
get
in one,
3.
10 in the other, because if you title them collectively together, husband and wife,
It's
you're going to
showing
be
both.
limited to 10, where if you do them separate, you collect 20.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yep.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Last thing I wanted to give is just a little something for process. As the market's changing, everybody's counting every deal, right? And deals get sideways super duper easy. We always will give a document out at the start of a contract to close that just talks about the do's and don'ts during the loan process. If you guys don't have something like this, I recommend you put something together for yourself that you send to your client, that when they're doing the agreement of sale, or after, they're signing off on. So like, it's just a thing that like, don't open new credit, don't go out and buy furniture, like that kind of thing. We will do this, but like, not every deal is going to be with us. You know what I mean? I think it's important to have a process. I'm going to pass around the one we use, and hopefully it saves the deal for everybody. In case you want to anyway. But I think it's super helpful. It saves us tons of deals all the time.
The buyer folders that I sent so much time that we use. Yeah.
We did have.
Not to screw up your real
You
estate.
can put it in your intro for under contracting.
That should be number one. Use common sense.
Hopefully they pick up the folder and take it with them and send it back.
Why
Well, they better.
avoid deposits with Venmo and PayPal?
Some of the, there's payment vehicles that you have to use, like some things are established on credit via Venmo or Zelle nowadays. So there can be undisclosed debts through Venmo and Zelle. So for years and years and years, it wasn't a thing, but now there's Venmos constant. So we usually, if we're talking to people, we try to tell them to curb the habit, because you don't want to get halfway through the process, find out somebody's got some other debt that they didn't disclose that's being paid out of that, because they'll literally issue credit as a private entity through this. Most people don't have it, but it comes up occasionally and kills deals. Like if you have a $500 payment that's undisclosed, it's like recurring. You got it?
I was receiving rent from Venmo for a while. I'm sure that probably popped up when you left.
I mean, we just,
Like, why you keep sending this.
when we look at a bank account, we'll typically like have a conversation and a pre-approval, you know what I mean, about, hey, what's going on? What are you doing here? Like, do you have outstanding? That's just, it's kind of like
Get that.
adjust the habit, curb the habit, have them do it different ways.
All right, thank you both. Hope everyone got good value out of that.
Heck yeah.
We're gonna go and do the giveaway. So we'll do our normal giveaways. We have a First American Home Warranty, drop this off, mostly snacks and like a picnic
Oh,
basket.
thank you.
Whoever wins, I better lock that stuff up.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I had an agent tell me this yesterday, and I didn't get to call Cheryl and see if this is true. If your client, you are on the buyer side, and your client waives inspections, I was told that the home warranty is null and void if they waive inspections for a new home purchase. Anybody hear that?
Like new, or like
No.
like
a
any home that
purchase.
we're buying for
Correct,
the
which
first.
is different than if I, homeowner am going to go and, just go buy one for myself, I'm not moving or selling. But she said that they do not, she said it says on the first declaration page, if they waive inspections, it's null and void. Anybody run into that?
But do they ask for a copy of the contract? How do they know?
That's a good question. I don't know. I was gonna ask Cheryl, but this agent's because it was an issue with something that closed, the buyers waived inspection. She said, and I bought them one, because I knew they were waiving inspections, and she said, no, she said, I called 6 home warranty companies, they all said the same. I said, so do you get refunded? She said, nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed.
That's not a good look.
It's like insurance without insurance.
Yeah.
My house burned down, but you get what it claimed in.
Which they try to do.
Yeah.
Who started it? Or is it investigated? All right, well, thank you. for
Keep
that.
us
Now we
posted.
all know.
Next month.
Yeah, yeah. Next office meeting. All right, we're gonna do gas cards or gift cards and transaction fee, monthly fee, and then we'll knock out, you said you have $10? Yes. Okay, all right. Someone put a magnet in here. Tiff Keel wins one of the $50 cards. Keel a magnet. Who did that?
Are you serious? She's on
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's on
Someone said
Zoom.
I didn't put my name tag in, but
That's a
I
good
could.
looking
It has a
card.
magnet.
Lindsay, got the next one.
Thank you. I'm going
Need
to
that
North
for-
Carolina this weekend. That'll come
Yeah.
handy.
Now you gotta get there.
Idol.
All right, this is for the free transaction fee.
Deb. I'm stuck on-
Steckler?
She on there.
She's on.
She's on Zoom. Yeah.
Here. This is $80.
Great.
Thank you. All right, I'll do this basket for the next one.
Office fee.
Tina?
Tina.
Nice.
Come visit me in my.
How are you gonna do
To
to keep track? This is for the books? One of them? Andrea?
Hey, thank you. What am
This is where the fire team start. Not five.
I know, I'm looking, so I don't know.
Yes.
Kate?
Hey, Kate. Woo. Hey, Kate.
I better luck when you.
Yeah, let's go.
This is more exciting.
You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
She did.
Thank you very much.
Share with Jeremy.
I'm here. You'll all forget me in 15 minutes. When I have lunch, you're gonna go to Airbnb.
Yeah, I'm back and forth. This is good.
Yeah.
No.
Alberto.
Days to come.
Thank you, Alberto.
You should save one for yourself.
I'll invest in it. For you, Adam.
I can leave one up there with all the Gary.
Jessica.
Is that the magnet?
It's what I have in my
It is
office.
the magnet.
It's what I
How the wind stop, right?
Crimp the corner, put a magnet on
We got three left.
Three, yeah.
Diana, oh, you're so sweet. Little brat.
I need a book. I never win.
And yet you come to everything.
You win in life.
Okay. Wow. Mike.
Reverse psychology. Say I'm not gonna win.
Bob's going to the next one.
That's gotta win. The last one,
One left.
Mike, you have to pick Bob.
Yeah, the pressure's on, right?
Yep.
One to the left.
Oh, my.
Isella.
Zella.
Isaiah, nice.
All
Sorry,
right.
Mom.
For the people that want a book, let Megan know. I'll get a tally. We'll buy them. I know you hit me up earlier.
I hit you up earlier.
Greg's gonna buy them. All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for a good meeting. Is pizza here?
Yes.
It's here, it's set up. Yep.
Food's here. Colin's gonna stick around. Andrew's gonna be here if you guys have any questions around what we talked about. Thank you.
And then see you all at 5 o'clock.
I wish Jeremy was here. He would have loved this.
Are you gonna say it again?
Well, you'll be there.
I'll be there.
I signed up to be there. You might have a showing.
Come anyway, come.
If anybody else wants a business card?
Stop it. Oh, my husband, how crazy over this.
Anybody want a card?
I do have one.
Thank you.
Anybody need a card? Anybody need a card?
Must have been a good ass college. Everyone retired.
So I'm happy to be a resource for any.
Just ship it first.
I'm sure he did.
What?
I'm trying to do this for like 6 months.
Give me a call.
Jeremy's. When you coming back?